Hi, friends. Welcome to the Art of Badassery Podcast. I'm Jenn Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer, and it is your birthright to feel like a badass. That's right, which is why today's episode is basically an introduction to the Art of Badassery. It's a framework that I created. It started as a keynote, then a book, and is now an entire course that I teach to corporations, women's groups, you name it. And before we dive into this framework, let's talk about the definition of badassery. It's kind of subjective, right? And it's often something that I ask my audience before I even start a talk. What does badassery mean to you? Check in with yourself right now and feel like, what are the words that come up for you or the feelings that come up for you when you think, I am a badass or badassery in general? Well, usually the words that come up right away for people are things like confidence, right? They feel like they're a badass when they're feeling confident. They feel resilience. They feel mental toughness, right? Grit, inner strength. But my personal favorite is the word power, feeling powerful in this world. And what if I told you that it's actually possible to feel powerful? I know we're always going to have moments and even days or seasons of suck when getting through each day feels like a feat. As you wrestle maybe with a health challenge or going through a financial hardship, maybe raising kids on your own, that can be really challenging, I'm sure. Going through a heartbreak, a breakup, a divorce, getting back to dating again, right? Putting yourself out there, finding yourself unemployed. I know there was just a slew of layoffs in the last year or so. Putting yourself out there, job searching again, that can be really mentally tough. Or if you're a business owner, right? Having those super slow months where you just aren't sure if you're going to make it. These are the times when we need to tap into our badassery and our power the most. So I am here with this podcast to be your biggest cheerleader, to be your biggest hype woman, and to remind you just how powerful and badass you truly are at your core, and give you tips and techniques to tap into it whenever you need it. So what's the actual definition of badassery? I'm glad you asked. According to the Urban Dictionary, it is to engage in seemingly impossible activities and achieve success in a manner that renders all onlookers completely awestruck. Pretty cool, right? That's what I wish for everyone listening out there, that no matter what you're going through, that you still are able to render onlookers awestruck by your inner strength, by your power to live your most badass life. So, after 2 decades of coaching people, I noticed 3 major reasons that women, especially, but really this applies to most people, 3 major reasons that women lack power in their lives. 1, you may have never truly believed that you had much power to begin with, right? This is easy to believe if you've grown up in a culture or society that says your dreams, wants, and desires are not as important as a man's. And inherently, you're not as smart and valuable in society. That gets deeply ingrained in you as a child. And it's even hard to shake off as you get older and grow up and live your life in a more modern society. It still could be in there, right? Secretly. And we have to weed out those limiting beliefs. Number 2 is you've unconsciously given your power away to people, places, and things that never deserved it in the first place. Again, this happens in a society where you're told that your value is skin deep, that you'll only be fulfilled when you finally get married, have a partner, or have a family, that your real dreams, right, are secondary to others. They're unimportant. So they go on the back burner, usually never to see the light of day. Or 3, you're just heading for burnout. You have spent the last, maybe your whole life or the last decade or the last few years putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own. You stopped making yourself a priority and you're just damn tired. You're struggling to keep up with life. And of course, that's going to feel draining. That's going to make you have time, a lot of times probably, where you feel powerless. So it is time to reclaim all that juicy power. And that is why I created the Art of Badassery. It's a framework to help you reclaim it and do just that. Every single drop, so you don't have to spend your life searching for your power, giving it away to others, searching for your confidence or permission to live the life of your dreams and not someone else's. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown in this episode on the framework, the 7 steps to really reclaiming your power, 7 steps to being a badass hero of your own life. I use martial arts as a metaphor. You don't need to know much about it other than we start out as white belts and the goal is to get your black belt and beyond. So each step correlates with a belt level. So we start with white belt. White belt is about embracing the suck, right? Stepping onto that mat into the dojo. You'll hear me say that a lot, right? Let's get into the dojo where we do the work. We're going to meet opponents. We're going to get knocked down. And you know what? That's just life. And that's okay. And the more you can accept that you are going to face challenges and that everyone else around you is going to have challenges as well, regardless of what their pretty Instagram and social media looks like, right? Everyone has gone through or is going through something deep and probably heartbreaking. With these 7 steps, I just want to give you one quick takeaway to put in your life or try on in the next 48 hours, say, so you can try out these 7 steps and really put them into action. So what can you do to really embrace the suck today? Well, usually the suck is about the past, things that happened to us in the past, terrible times, challenges, failures, you name it. And a lot of us, most of us carry those things into our present and we carry them inside and we let them stop us from living our most badass life. They stop us from taking risks, from putting ourselves out there, from being happy and truly joyful. So what's one thing that has been holding you in a prison of shame or blame or failure or whatever, low self-esteem, that you could just accept, maybe even let go of, maybe even appreciate that you've gone through it? Now, I'm not saying we have to be thankful for all the terrible things that have happened to us, but can you appreciate yourself for getting through them? So just think of one thing right now. Again, start with the easiest things first. One thing in maybe your recent past that has really been dragging you down. Can you just accept it? Breathe it in. That happened. And think, how am I a stronger person because of it? And just let that come to mind and then let it pass. And then we move on to the lesson of the yellow belt, which is about bouncing back. So for those of you that are in a hard time right now, this is about the present. How do we move through challenges? This is my greatest study in life. I love to bring on people. I'm going to be bringing on lots of people onto the podcast with stories of overcoming major challenges. I want to know, how do people do it? I don't want to just see the successes on the other side. I really want to understand what's going through their mind. What are they doing in their daily lives to really, bounce back from these challenges? So there are a few different lessons that I talk about in the Art of Badassery book, different techniques that you can do in life, like pivoting. We all have done this, right? Like rolling with the punches, but sometimes even making an ultimate comeback when life kind of knocks you out for the count. You need to recreate yourself, perhaps. So what's one little thing you can do today if you do find yourself in a pretty difficult situation? Again, whether it be your health, your wealth, your career, your relationships, your family, reach out to someone for support. That is the quickest way that you can roll with the punches and hopefully get the support you need to move through it. We were not meant to do life alone. And I don't want anyone out there to ever feel like they have to, toughen up and keep it all in and suffer through these challenges alone. Reach out to someone for support. And usually the person that you choose should be someone that has gone through something similar before. That's the best piece of advice I could give to someone going through that, because I've done it myself. I've done it with my hip surgery. I made sure to find a private Facebook group for young people with total hip replacements, right? I found a group that specific when I was going through getting the diagnosis of my arthritic hip and being told that I was going to need a hip replacement. Gosh, I was devastated, scared, you name it. but I found this private group online of people that had gone through the same exact challenges. So I was able to get great advice and great support, really, for when it was my time to have my hip replacement last year. So reach out to someone if you need support right now. Orange Belt is about setting boundaries, right? Blocking. On the mat, we learn how to block the punches and kicks that come our way. In life, this relates to setting boundaries, saying no to people, places, and things that drain you of your power and distract you from your purpose, right? That's my favorite definition of setting boundaries. I'll say it again, saying no to people, places, and things that drain you of your power and distract you from your purpose. Only you are responsible for protecting your own energy. So, what can you say no to right now? A client just told me the other day that she was so proud of herself for setting a powerful boundary with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law has been someone who has been very supportive to her in the past. And this client, without sharing too much of her story, is going through a life transition, right? Quit one very safe job to try some new things, right? To try some new things. So her mother-in-law, who, to be fair, has her best interests at heart, started right away with, you can't do this, and you shouldn't be doing this, and you really need to be doing XYZ, and really killed her vibe. So my client set a powerful boundary and said, hey, look, I am doing my best to manage my mood these days, to manage my mental state, to manage my positivity, and I just can't have any of this right now. So we can either talk about other things or wait until I've moved on from here. So who in your life right now do you need to set a powerful boundary with, or even a small boundary with, to protect your energy, to protect your resources like your time and the things that are important to you? At Greenbelt level, we start to harness the power of our voice. This level is all about how you powerfully communicate through body language, through your tone, through the words that you say, both out loud and internally to yourself. I do a huge deep dive in all of this in chapter 4 of the Art of Badassery. But what I'm going to just leave you with today is your inner dialogue. For me, it's the most important thing that I work on constantly. It's my forever work in progress. It's the thing that I work on with my clients probably the most, because it literally can set you up for success or totally drag you down. Becoming the master of your own voice is truly, truly the most important thing that you can do for yourself. So for the next 48 hours, try on just simply observing your inner dialogue. Just listen to it. Is it mostly negative? Is it positive? If it's negative, what are the negative things that you're saying to yourself? What are the things that come up for the most for you? According to Psychology Today, the average person has anywhere between 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot of thoughts. And then they go on to say that 80% of those thoughts are negative. Now imagine, out of all those negative thoughts, how many are about you, about your creativity, about your intellect, about your abilities, skills, or your worth, or your value? How many of those truly stop you in your tracks from putting yourself out there, taking risks, and living your most badass life? So try it on. Observe those thoughts, and then we can deal with ways to stop them. That's another episode. But we get to blue belt level. And at this level, we're going. We're training so much in the dojo because we just love the work so much. And at some point, we start to realize that our energy is based, and at some point, we start to realize that if we're not taking care of this body, that it's going to burn out. So This whole level is really about prioritizing your self-care. Again, in the book, in my work, they are simple steps, but for some, it actually feels pretty radical. Pretty radical to prioritize your sleep at night, right? Even though that should be probably one of your number one priorities when it comes to your health and your body. Pretty radical to make sure that you're eating mostly whole foods, drinking enough water, cutting back on substances that fuel this artificial energy, right? Like too much caffeine or too much sugar. Even things like scheduling play into your life is a way that feels radical when you're just burning the candle at both ends. So for the next 48 hours, just pick one of those things. What are you going to do? Drink enough water? Eat a full whole foods meal that you prepared for yourself, if that's something you normally don't do? Go to bed an hour earlier if you can. Drink one less coffee. Eat one less, sugary snack, or schedule in some play. What do you like to do to play in your life? What brings you more joy? Do you need to be around friends more? Do you want to go out to the park? Do you want to go outside for a run? What brings you joy? And schedule it in your calendar and get it done. Okay, that will fuel your tank. That will fuel your tank so you can feel more badass in the next 48 hours. Okay, so we get to red belt level. And at red belt level, we start to, as martial artists, we start to deepen our meditation practice. We start to almost slow down in order to speed up. Badasses are intentional. We're intentional with our words, with our actions. We don't just react to every stimulus that comes our way. We don't fly off the handle at the slightest perceived offense. We're cool, we're calm, and we're powerful. We trust our inner voice, right? This is all in the red belt level. So what can you do to hone your inner voice, to trust yourself a little more, to calm down and yet still tap into that fierce, powerful, confident person within? Try on meditation. If you don't have a practice already, go to an app like Insight Timer and listen to a meditation before bed tonight, or choose one for the morning. If you already have a meditation practice, try something else. Try journaling for 10 minutes or doing some deep breathing or tapping, right? Whatever you have wanted to try it on now. See what fits for you. And then again, you try to make a habit out of that. And then here we are. We are finally at the black belt level. At black belt level, as a martial artist anyway, this is where I started to realize that black belt level is not necessarily about all the skills, all the physical skills that I was learning, but really it was truly about leadership, right? It was about showing up every day, being that person that people can come to for coaching, for mentoring. It was literally my job now as a black belt to help others rise up through all those ranks as well. So where in your life can you help folks rise up? Again, we can start small in little steps taken each day. Giving someone a compliment for free, telling a colleague how much you really appreciate them, sending a text to someone you haven't spoken to in a while just to check in on them. Buy a coffee for the person behind you at the coffee shop. Help a woman with her baby carriage coming up the subway stairs. If you feel called to, donate $10, $20, whatever you can afford to a charity of your choosing, right? Start today, start small. Take these 7 easy actions in the next 48 hours and you will watch your badassery soar. You will feel more confident. You will feel more powerful. You will feel more able to take on any challenge that comes your way. So if you want to do a deeper dive into the art of badassery, check out the book. It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can bring me to speak at your company or your next event. Or you can organize a book club with your girlfriends and we can all be black belt badasses together. Listen, the world needs you to reclaim all your power, to own it, to step into it, to embrace it all, and then share it with everyone else. No. Listen, the world needs you to reclaim all of your power now so you can be the black belt of your own life. So tune in for the rest of season 1, where I'll be talking to tons of black belts in badassery and doing deep dives into each of these topics and more. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks, everyone.